Live.
Hey,
Okay,
hey.
so all right, so with this episode, we're going to be talking about what I wish I would have knew a few years ago, and
Yeah, had you known,
had I known,
Had you known, had you known.
had I
I feel
known.
like there's a lot of I mean, I think that's what entrepreneurship's all about, right? It's
yeah,
like you kick yourself in a lot of ways where you're like, "Oh man, if I'd known this thing
that's
like
true.
4 years ago or 5 years ago or even just last year, like, ah, I could have crushed it," right?
Yep.
Hmm.
And I think from what I've seen, especially just like in the digital landscape, right? Of like social and media and all that jazz. Like there are a lot of brand founders who are kind of kicking themselves a little bit. Now don't get me wrong, like I think Black Friday all in all was wildly successful, like
Yep.
for the industry as a whole.
Right.
Obviously Shopify like crushed it, record breaking numbers on Shopify stores with respect to holiday sales and holiday revenue for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But there are some brands that didn't do so great.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of introspection within the brand, within on the team side, and a lot of questions being asked as to, okay, what went wrong, and how can we make sure that it's not going to go wrong here in December.
Absolutely.
I think that this is a really good, really timely kind of topic to dive into.
I agree. And
True.
being the brand founder, being the brand founder amongst us three, I definitely want to get into had I known this, you know, a few years ago, 6 and 7 figure holiday sales would have been cake.
Yeah.
So before I jump into that, I do want to touch on two things that just came up in the news, and I know Tommy, I know you had one, but I want to touch on two that's happening.
Oh, what happened?
So Facebook right now is going to be monetizing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Facebook right now. Facebook is about this came out December 6th through the 12th. They actually released this. So they're actually going to be allowing you to place ads on Instagram profile reels. So essentially you can be showing up on Kevin Hart's. If you clicked on a photo or something of Kevin Hart's and now you're scrolling through his photo, my ad can pop up. My the next thing
In
that you
there.
scroll to could be my actually ad. Whether
Crazy.
it's an image ad or whether it's a video ad. So to me, that Facebook is saying that the performance is going to be phenomenal, and I also think the performance is going to be phenomenal. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
I think with anything, right, the performance is only going to be as fire as your media buyer.
I
So
think it's bigger than media buyer. I think it's just overall strategy. Like it's like me. You can have a good media buyer with a terrible strategy.
yeah, I don't know of a meet. To me, if you have a terrible strategy, you don't have a good media buyer. Because the media buyer is supposed to be leading the charge on paid social strategy. So, like from my perspective, um, like it has to be sound on both sides, right? Like the and
Yeah,
some with
but
some
Kai,
brands
you
the
not.
strategy
That's
comes top down. On with others, the strategy comes bottom up.
Kai.
Um,
You. Hold on for a second, Kai. Like you're not. You're not a media buyer.
I
So when you
mean,
say a good media buyer, and now you trying to assume you putting yourself in that scenario, that's not reality. You're more than a media buyer.
Exactly. Knowing she an
That's why I'm
alien.
that's why
uh,
I'm saying that. Like it's more than just a good, strong media buyer.
I don't. I guess people say that a lot. Y'all say that a lot. That I'm more than
I'm
media buyer,
telling
and I
you.
get it. I get it. I also feel like media buyers should be more than what they are.
Well, I
So
agree with
I think
that.
that's probably more accurate for
Well, I
me.
agree with that.
Um, but yeah, I just think that I definitely think media buyers should be controlling or having a say in or driving paid social strategy for sure. Because they're the ones that are in the weeds, they're the ones that have the data. They're like right,
Yes.
like right there, right
Yep.
against the TV screen, as it were, with respect to the data, and they're closest to
Yes.
it. So, but yeah, that's me. But yeah, I think that it has a lot of potential. I mean, if you're smart with targeting and you're really intentional and you really understand your audiences and what they care about, and what they digest and all that great stuff, um, which to me feels like media buying 101, but I don't know, I
It's
guess.
not media buying 101.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well,
telling you.
yeah, I guess
A great
so.
media buy, like you can have someone come up with a strategy. Like you do this in your agency. You come up with a strategy and you get someone on your team to execute said strategy. And because of your strategy, they're good at media buying, probably because you train them, but they're not necessarily coming up with the entire strategy and executing it, right?
Well, no. So, I mean, when we first started, that was probably more the model. Now we're kind of at a place where we hire unicorns, I guess. We hire people who are driving paid social strategy and with some help, you know what I mean? Like,
Of
we'll always
course.
provide input, the senior levels and all that, but they're the ones that are really driving a lot of that. And they're also media buying. And so the strategy then changes with as the data comes in and changes.
Yes.
And then, obviously if they need input, we have like team calls and that sort of stuff, and we all kind of sync up because 6-7 heads are always, typically, not always, I guess, but typically better than one, right? So there's always that too. But yeah, I mean,
Let's
maybe
just
I
keep our
expect
listeners in mind. Everybody ain't gonna be able to hire a unicorn.
I know.
Okay.
Multiple unicorns.
I know,
Right.
but I do still think that I do still think that ultimately, like that type of placement, just like a lot of these placements, it really comes down to how intentional you are, right? And how much data and insight you have at your disposal slash have armed yourself with slash have sought out to make those kinds of decisions. Because I can easily see where with somebody that's not that talented or not that skilled at media buying, which is a good amount of people, I think. It's a nuanced profession, where they could like miss target, and
Yes.
just like with any other placement.
Correct.
But yeah, I definitely see that there's potential in this particular space. I'm interested in, I haven't really seen numbers on or insight into when this is going to drop, and usually when Facebook Meta, as it were, decides they're going to roll something out, they roll it out in kind of phases and tranches and what have you. So
Yeah, it made me think about placement targeting on YouTube, where I can target specific videos or specific channels and advertise against them. Really, really powerful strategy.
And you've seen some amazing numbers with that too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that was a time early in my career where I was like, that was the predominant strategy that I was doing, because I wasn't having, all of my clients went scaling, you know what I mean? They wouldn't spend it in large numbers. It was, 20,000 a month here, 10,000 a month there. And with smaller budgets, even to this day, I still recommend that strategy, because you can really laser focus your your advertising and your messaging, who you want to get in front of. So really, really powerful strategy. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought about it. I don't know if they're gonna take it there. That's pretty dope.
I hope so. That's what my hope is, because if they do, I think this is going to change how people it's actually going to make it easier. And this actually ties into what I wish I had known, what I wish I had known.
Yes.
This
Like
is actually going to tie into that, because if they allow us to say, you have a video creative, and let's just say it's done by X influencer on Instagram, then now you can immediately place that. Now you can immediately place that ad on their feed, and now hopefully all
on
of
their profile.
On their profile feed, and now hopefully everybody following them will actually see that. So hopefully not only do they give you the placement, but they also give you access to everybody that's following that person. That's what's going to make the most sense.
Yeah, that'll be sick
to me. Now, if they do that, that is going to be extremely powerful, because previously you can do this, but previously what you would have had to do is you would have had to allow them. They would have to give you access to their channel or their profile. Typically, they need to have like a business IG, in order for them to be able to do it. So now you're linking that business IG to your ads manager, and now you're able to run that creative. And that's been a very powerful strategy to get set up, but it's very technical to get set up for most people.
Right.
Plus the actual negotiation piece between you and the influencer is a whole nother thing in and of itself too. So hopefully you won't have to do that anymore. So now you'll just be able to pop in, hopefully just be able to grab the link to their profile, pop that into placements, I'm guessing, or maybe they're going to add something to the back end of the dashboard to where you can choose where you want this ad to show up. And if that's the case, then that's going to be amazing if they set it up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, I think
exciting.
that would be great. I feel like influencers might, or creators, what have you, might bulk at it a little bit because now they're kind of being cut out in a sense.
Yeah.
Because usually what you would wind up like what brands would usually do is they have those negotiations and conversations with them,
Absolutely.
right? So so they, influencers might not love it, but it'll be super dope for advertisers.
Absolutely. And and at some point in time too, we're gonna, because I have like those types of agreements, and I know that those agreements can be powerful for people, because typically people don't know what to negotiate or how to negotiate, and sometimes what and how they negotiate aren't the most important things, because those assets are extremely valuable, which is going to tie right into what I'm about to segue into, what I wish I had known. But those assets are extremely powerful to have and to maintain.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that. Get into that in another episode for sure.
Absolutely.
And then what I think is going to be interesting, I mean, what would be interesting if platforms decide to kind of go this route where you get, kind of fuller access.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it would be beautiful for a lot of niche brands. And when I say niche brands, I'm not always talking about like where they're really, really niched into on a product from a product perspective, but also where they're really, really niched in from an audience perspective.
Yes.
Like there are so many brands out there that would like just really benefit from being able to target some of these more niched type influencers.
Yes.
Where like, they're smaller, right? They're not like, Kylie Jenner or whatever.
Correct.
They're much smaller. However, their follower base is super, super high quality. Right now, it's like massive gap that's existing on Meta. Like there are, and it's even worse now than it was like 3 years ago, because Facebook, quote unquote, cleaned up a lot of their targeting for like the quote unquote lesser used audiences, which I unfortunately, like, let's just keep it 100. A lot of those lesser used audiences were Black audiences,
right?
In Black communities selling Black products, right? And that's just like it's not like a racism thing at all. I don't think it's just a numbers thing. It's a volume thing, right? Like that's just what it is, like from a number perspective. So
this is why I have white women in my funnel asking me if this product is for them.
Well, I think that's a whole different it's a whole different can of worms on that. I think. I don't think.
I mean, they took away that African American culture.
Well,
then they took away the African American race. I'm just saying, like,
they did take away those affinity audiences.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yep,
I didn't know it was so many white women in Essence Magazine or in some of these other targeting places I'm talking. Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like, what are y'all doing?
Fire.
That's what make them shows pop. You think them shows blow up just because Black people watch them? We only 13% of the population.
That's fact.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna jump into the conspiracy theory.
No.
The next thing that came up too that also dropped from Meta was that they're also going to open up the Explore tab for you to actually start advertising on the Explore tab too. So you have access to the Explore tab, and you have, to the Explore placement, and then you'll also have access to the profile. So how powerful do you think that when people go to that Explore tab, like, unless they're actually typing in an actual hashtag, it's really just kind of a hodgepodge of whatever you've been searching. So it's like a bunch of stuff that the algorithm's kind of serving you up a bunch of stuff that because you search for all of these different things, or whatever your behavior has been on the platform, now it's just kind of serving you up a bunch of stuff there on the Explore page. So
I wonder about their execution on it though, because with Facebook search, like way back in the day, I always knew like one day you're going to be able to advertise against search
Right.
on Facebook. But I don't think they ever nailed it. Like, because when I'm saying this, I'm thinking through the lens of Google, YouTube search, Google search, Facebook's like showing your ad against Facebook search is cool. I mean, Kai probably could speak more on it, but they didn't nail that. So to me, the power in the Explorer is the hashtags, the searching, such that when you put in a specific search phrase or hashtag, because you're looking for a certain type of content, serve ads based on that. That's basically why Google is so powerful. You pop a keyword into Google, it's going to show you some relevant search results, and the ads are also going to be very relevant to what you just searched.
Right.
So I wonder if they're going to execute well on the Explorer, because I don't think they executed well on Facebook search.
Yeah, I wonder about that too. To me, that's like high top of funnel when it comes down to that Explore tab, because I guess it just depends on, again, if I'm on there searching for a lot of beauty stuff, then when I hit that Explore page, I'm going to get access to a lot of beauty stuff. So if your ad,
but it's the same thing like Google though, bro. A search engine is a search engine, man. And the thing about search engines is intent is everything. So if you're just making random searches, then yeah, I agree with you. That's top of funnel. But it's people literally on the Explorer typing in super specific stuff.
True.
Which is with intent.
Hold on. What I'm saying is I don't know if my ad is going to show after you search for something, or if you just go to the Explorer page and now my ad is there. That's what I'm saying.
That's my point. That's why I'm saying, that's why I don't think they're going to execute well on it, because of what they did with Facebook search. Like right now, if you go to Facebook and search something, the ads that show up are not very relevant to what you just searched.
At all. At all.
So they're going to take that same tech and go plop that on the Explorer deal on Instagram. That's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case.
I hope so.
I hope not.
Instagram allows for a lot more granularity into, if they do it right, into what people's core interests are.
Right.
Like as they use the platform more and more. And so I'm hoping that they have the wherewithal to include or like to incorporate some of Instagram's like some of that technology that's like unique to IG, so that doesn't happen. But honestly, who knows? It's worth. I'm actually going to ask. I actually had a call with some folks over at Meta on both Facebook and Instagram teams the other day, which is pretty enlightening. We'll get into that on another episode, I imagine. But it's worth asking. Asking about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But past behavior, dictate future performance. So it's like,
that's true.
That's kind of why I'm saying what I'm saying is, like, I think they failed at maximizing Facebook search. That's just what I believe. And chances are Meta is going to do the same thing with Instagram Explorer.
That's sad.
I mean, again, I hope I'm wrong, but if I had, again, we're data, we numbers, like the data says, like, we have something to go off of, like, that's where that's coming from.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So in this vein of Instagram and influencers, here's the thing that I wish I would have known. During the holidays, you run through a lot of creative. So you run through a lot of creative, and the creatives that, if the creatives that you had, especially if you're really in contact with your media buyer, the creatives that you make these holiday creatives, but that don't mean that the creatives that are already killing it for you just get shut off, right? So typically, if those creatives are working, your media buyer is looking inside the account, it may not have anything to do with the holiday, but that creative may just be working for you and it's bringing in sales. So they may start scaling that up too, even though you have your holiday creatives. But what I didn't realize was how fast they can actually burn through those creatives during the holidays, especially as they are increasing your budget, whatever that budget may look like for you or anybody else. But the more creatives that you have that are working, that are actually performing well, the better you're going to be, because you're not going to be able to, quote unquote, you're not going to be able to, and Kai and Tommy can speak to this better than me, but you're not going to be able to burn through those creatives within a 2-month time span, right? So we're talking like from Black Friday, let's just say through to the new year, right? So during that time period, the more creatives that you can have that are actually working, and obviously you want to use data based on the creatives that are already killing it for you and creatives that you've tested, which means that we're not trying to get creatives for the holidays during December, during November and December, because our media buyers, our marketers need time to test those creatives to build those up. Essentially, what I wish I would have known is to have already had a tried, true, and tested war chest of creatives that I can push out during the holidays, and that we can just continue to hammer away. I hate to use these types of terms, but we can really just kind of bombard our audience and our potential customers with all of these different creatives, with all these different angles, and we know for facts that these messages work and they're going to convert. That is what I wish I would have known. And knowing that, you can now push out a multitude of creatives, and now you can scale way past and further past and a lot quicker with a higher return on ad spend, with amazing creatives, multitude of amazing creatives that's just killing it for you. And it actually adds to the credibility of your brand, and it adds to the credibility of the message or the promise that's actually in your messaging too. Because now I'm seeing as a customer, from the customer's point of view, the customer's seeing 15, 20, 30 people say that this product is doing the same thing. It's the overarching performance and the overarching result of that is going to be powerful. And that's going to take you through the holidays and beyond. But you'll hit multiple 6 and 7 figure months if you can unload, or if you can open up that war chest, if you will, and push that budget through all of these creatives. That is what I wish I would have known.
But see, that's the reason why I stay telling people that you need to start early.
And like, what you mean start early? I mean, I'm starting early. I'm 2 weeks earlier than I was last year.
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks away.
It's not it, and that's like it hurts my spirit. It's like legitimately hurtful that like I will see like ads for marketers and that sort of stuff, like, oh, the holiday season's here, it's time to start thinking about Black Friday, and these ads will be rolling in like October, November, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, Black Friday strategy has already been solidified, sir. What do you mean? But, like, at the end of the day, then I recommend this to almost every brand. I know it's harder for like solopreneurs, just you, but like, try to get into the habit of planning out, like from a creative perspective, planning out these things like 4 or 5 months in advance. Try to get into that cadence. And the reason why I say that is because when it comes down to testing, right? Like we're not going to be testing the exact creative, the exact offer, the exact everything, like, in the coming months before Black Friday, obviously, because Black Friday sales does not exist yet, right? It's not gonna be a thing in August or September. But what is going to be a thing is making sure that we have all of the angles lined up, right? And that making sure that we have the offer lined up, especially when we're talking about now you've got to, create an inventory store to make sure you even have enough inventory for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday season and beyond, with holiday seasons in December. So a lot of this stuff, the coordination between fulfillment and marketing, and then all of the various verticals within marketing, a lot of that really does require foresight. It's not something that you can throw together the month prior and get like maximum impact. Yeah, you can see results, but how much more amazing would those results have been had you been able to really intentionally set up create, especially on video, if you've been able to intentionally establish a series of a creative portfolio ahead of time so that you can understand what potentially might need some tweaking based off of some testing data that comes in, like, so you can really get a full enjoy like the full breadth and depth of like performative testing. Like, that's my thing. I think that people just don't start early enough to be able to do a lot of that stuff, to be able to like come up with the clever creative, not just the hey, here's the product, hey, here's the discount, hey, here's the like, but to actually come up with something that's gonna resonate and hit on a level where you can then piece apart what worked and create and add that to like creative for your evergreen, in January, February, March.
Yep.
So I think it's really all about understanding that the data that you collect and compile during holiday seasons can help inform your evergreen funnel, which should be continuously running for most brands, I think. And I know for a lot of brands we work with, we'll have it's basically, holiday seasons, we've got multiple funnels working at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And we're not shutting off the evergreen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just being cognizant of that can, I think, just plant the seeds that are necessary for you to then go the extra mile for the quarter after that, for Q1, Q2. I think it's especially great for smaller brands because you've got that high volume, which means you've got more data. You've got more data pouring through that can help inform a lot of your strategy off the back.
So yeah, it made me think about I was working with this brand, e-commerce brand, Kai. It was a mutual client of ours. So you probably have an idea who I'm talking about. It's been a couple years ago. The point that I was making, alluding to what you're saying on the planning side, was that if we do this right beforehand, like the data that we're gonna get and the probability of success on the spend that we're going to make is going to be so much higher during that time when people are already buying. Let's to me, it was more of a risk mitigating strategy where if we can invest now to line this up, when we get to holiday season and we leverage what we have here, we can pour gas on, and because the probability of success because of that time of year is going to be so much higher, we're going to be able to get way more data. And not only that, there's going to be way lower risk that we're going to waste money. But I couldn't get through to said e-commerce founder.
So here's something that's coming up for me as I'm listening to both of you, and I'm coming at this from the point of view of the listener that's an e-commerce founder and business owner, which is okay. I get the point. I get that I need to have more ads. I get that I need to have more influencers. I get that, but how the hell do I test Black Friday before Black Friday? So I wanted to kind of throw out some examples that's kind of already out there, and you guys can piggyback off of this and tell me what you guys think. But one of the ones that came up, how do you test Black Friday before Black Friday? How do you get getting the creatives is already easy. We talked about that, right? Coming up with the marketing messages is what we're actually trying to test, and what we're also trying to test is the product or the bundle for Black Friday, which you're going to come up with, right? So how do we do that before Black Friday? Let's just say in July or June or whatever the case may be, right? And what that looks like is if you look at Amazon Prime Day, Prime Day is essentially is like a Black Friday type day. So if you came up with your own sales day, because you have flash sales all the time. So if you now start to look at these flash sales or these whatever sales it is that you create, those you can start to use those along with some other ones. And again, Kai and Tommy will throw some others out there, but you can begin to start using these type of days as a testing ground for, okay, that bundle didn't work as well, so now let's try to put together another bundle and try to roll that out. And then finally you have that bundle that just hits. Now you know, okay, boom, we can archive this bundle for our Black Friday bundle. Okay, boom, these creatives are working, this landing page is working, and so on and so forth.
As long as you know why it didn't hit.
Yeah.
Right.
Go
So
into
like
that.
for
What do you mean?
like with the bundles, right?
Yeah.
So it may not be about, okay, well, we got to test a different bundle. It could be some other element. It could be a
Right.
ton of different
You're
things, right?
1000% right. Yep.
So it's really, you first have to understand and identify, okay, well, this didn't hit. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
And then from there you can then tweak and optimize.
Yes.
But I agree in terms of the approach, and especially, you know, upcoming December sales, evaluating your Black Friday data can be really beneficial to helping, you know, optimize that. But you have to be looking at it, whether it's your, you know, director of marketing manager, you know, if you have a really smart media buyer, they will do this as well, and talk you through kind of this exercise. But it's really getting to the heart of, okay, why did this not work? And you won't oftentimes understand that unless you have the right testing environment and the right structure
Yep.
that actually broke down the variables. If you
Yep.
tested 10 different things, you know, 10 different variables at play all
Right.
at once, and they're like, okay, well, you know, this didn't work, let's change a bundle. You better have data that indicates, okay, well, 9 of these, you know what I mean? Like,
Don't make these decisions in a silo is what I'm hearing you say.
basically.
And what I'm also hearing you say too is, just speaking from where, you know, where a lot of small businesses may be, if you are working with an agency that's working with multiple other clients, right? They're not just working with you, then it behooves you to pay them extra so that they can sit with you and sift through the data. So that way you can start to suss out what it is that you need for your specific company and for your
Red flag.
campaigns.
Yeah, honestly,
Red
I-
flag. If you gotta
I'm
pay
just-
them
I'm
extra to sit through
I'm
that,
just putting it out there for people that are just, you know, for
If
people
they
that are
asking
working
you
with all
for
these different
extra-
random agencies.
if they asking you for extra to help them do what they
Yeah.
supposed to do anyway better, red flag.
That's why it's not extra. Like, that's the job. That's supposed to be the job.
I'm hearing you, but
A lot of
but
them
you're
don't,
trying to jump on. You're trying to schedule time. You may be trying to schedule time with these people, and now you're trying to sit on there. You're trying to sit down with them for 2 hours or whatever to break all your stuff down so that you can create a strategy. I get that you're paying them monthly and you're going to continue to pay them, and they're going to make more money and they're going to retain you. I get all of the benefits, but I'm just saying, from a founder standpoint, if you find yourself in that situation, it behooves you to spend the extra dollars so that way you can get the performance. So that way, ultimately, you can get to somebody where you're not paying them extra to spend time with you to break down your stuff. And ultimately, you can have your own in-house team.
Yeah, no, and that's a fair point. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there aren't a lot of consultants out there that will do this as a standalone. I know we do it. I've done consults for people
Yeah.
who have other media buyers, and they're like, hey, we've already got this media buyer over here, but we just want to take a look, and we want a second or third set of eyes.
Absolutely.
To give us a sense for like what the data is telling us, what the
Right.
business story is,
Mhm.
right?
To me,
So-
that's the play. You just said the play though. If you got to pay extra to the person you already working with to do that,
Yeah.
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 sound like a red flag to me. But if
Right.
you're saying I'm gonna go get someone who got experience with these other companies to see what we may not be doing, so I can say this is what I want to do. Tell me what y'all doing, and we hashing that out.
Right.
Yeah, you should absolutely pay somebody to get another set of eyes. That's
Right.
not, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, because, and again, if you out there paying somebody $1,500 a month to run your ads, then you know what I'm saying? Like,
You definitely should be hiring outside counsel.
exactly, because right now you paying crackhead prices for these services, and that's why I'm saying, to get some of these more elevated services like what we're talking about, where you're actually sitting down and working out a unique strategy for your brand. Because if you paying $1,500, $3,500 a month for a media buyer to run your ads, you're probably getting a cookie cutter strategy.
Yeah.
And this is what I've seen in accounts, and I'm sure you guys have seen it too. They got a strategy that'll work for client X, and now they're rolling that same strategy out for client Y and hope that it works for client Z. Yep. So if you want something that's uniquely for your brand, and you spending the $3,500 and below, hell, you may even be spending, 15K, hopefully, and you're getting that type of service. Hopefully you're not. But if you're spending the $3,500 or 5K and below, and they're giving you a cookie cutter strategy, and you want something more bespoke to your data, and to, type of creatives and messaging that you're using, then if they're asking you to do that, definitely you want to make sure that you spend that extra cash to have them sit down and map out and deploy the strategy that's perfect for your brand and for your messaging. That's ultimately the point that I want to get across to y'all. At least have an open mind to do that is what I'm saying. Until you can elevate or get with a media buyer or agency that's willing to do these. We call them in the military after action report. So we call them an after action report. So once everything is done, we sit down, we look at the data, or we look at what happened or how the enemy responded to what it is that we did. So now we can make those adjustments, and now we can optimize and then move forward. A lot of times with small businesses, we're just on to the next thing. We're not taking the time to stop, pause, evaluate on what's already happened, and then move forward. Yeah, I get that a lot of things are the landscape is always changing inside of your business. Employees are acting crazy, or life stuff is happening, or whatever the case may be. But you definitely have to take the time to sit down and not just map out moving forward what you're going to do, but also look at what's happened in the past as well.
Yeah, we call them post-mortem analyses.
Yeah, post-mortem analysis. That sounds good.
So yeah.
Agreed. So I think that's
you out here killing it, Kyle. You out here killing shit.
That's what it sounds like, don't it?
Yeah. I hear this murder in the game. So we got to do a post-mortem on it.
Post-mortem.
That's what we call them.
That's exactly what I thought when I heard her say that. I was like, damn,
I mean, because it's finished. Like, the thing is completed.
Right. I get it. But I did just see you at the morgue opening up.
Mortem sound like a post-mortem sound like an autopsy.
Exactly. I mean, and that's basically what they doing, right? They cutting that campaign open and analyzing it.
Yeah.
So so that's what so for me, again just to in summary, and to tie this into what we mentioned earlier with the news, having these influencers create these creatives that, one, as a brand owner, I'm going to keep, and then turn around and roll those out after testing throughout the year, finding the right landing pages, finding the right messaging, and now having all of these influencer videos stockpiled, knowing what the conversion rate is going to be, already having my interests and stuff like that mapped out. All those campaigns and everything is in there, mapped out, and ready to be deployed. The next thing, to me, what takes it to the next level is what we just mentioned. Now, if I can turn around, but again, it's already in my agreement, but now if I can turn around and market these ads, market these ad creatives that I got made by these influencers on their profile, it's just going to take the my sales and my conversion rates to the next level. Right now, again, it's already in the agreements and everything, so I already got access to the accounts and everything else to push these creatives out. So I'm already seeing the results of that. But moving forward, for other founders that's listening to this, that's really going to, if it works the way that we're saying that it's going to work, and we don't know how they're going to roll it out, but if they don't roll it out that way, and and you're just showing up on random creators profiles, then that's going to be trash. But you'll still be able to have access to taking that creative's profile and plugging it into your business manager and pushing your ads out that way. I see companies doing it all the time. So you still have access to that. But having that war chest of creatives that you can really push hard through the holiday season is really going to make 6 and 7 figures cake. Have you guys seen other things that other brands are doing? Kai,
yeah. So I think where a lot of brands trip up when they first really get into like the holiday, or really into like hardcore into e-com, where they're really doing numbers when it comes to holiday sales, they kind of forget about the influencer stuff. It's like, okay, let's hit the email, let's hit the ads, and let's hit social, but they don't cross that threshold of let's roll out large scale influencer marketing campaigns to even get that kind of IGC.
Right.
And for some reason, it's like the IGC switch just like flicks off when it comes to holiday sales stuff.
Right.
Even if they were running stuff, you know, for like their evergreen funnel.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure why that is.
And you said IGC. You want to break that down?
Influencer generated content.
There we go. Influencer generated content.
Yeah. Sorry, I use acronyms. So yeah, I think that there's a massive missed opportunity there. And then even further, there's a massive missed opportunity for even the brands that are running with like influencer marketing during the holiday season. For some reason, they're not taking that content and properly like partnering with paid social on it. It's like, okay, they just did a thing, they just did a live, they just did a whatever on social, and they're not even thinking to be like, okay, we should be using this to run traffic, or they're not even thinking further, like getting even more granular, more advanced, I guess. They're not even thinking about running these things from influencers' ad accounts. Right. So, you know, early at the top of the discussion this afternoon, we were talking about like, you know, what we're hoping Facebook is going to accomplish, or we're hoping Meta is going to accomplish through like the use of, you know, other people's profiles and whatnot. But like you can do some of the, at least on the paid social side, like you can target influencers, followers now, as long as you're having those partnerships with them, you're establishing that, and you can actually run that IGC through their ad account in partnership with yours, so that you can target their entire audience and hit them over and over and over and over again, right? Because like social media, you know, you do the live and it might be there for a little bit of time, right? Depending on, you know, your contract negotiations, they may take it down, they may, you know, keep it up or whatever. But it's still like from an organic reach perspective, we already know what the numbers look like in terms of how many people actually end up seeing that sort of stuff, actually end up seeing the post or have you, versus ads. I mean, you could just hit them over the head with it, right? As long as it works. So, so yeah, I think that that's a massive, all of those kind of levels, right? With respect to IGC and influencer marketing, there's massive opportunities there that people aren't always thinking about.
I agree. There was enough Tom, if you wanted to jump in, I want to cut you off, but there was another point that because I'm about to go to another point that I heard Kai mention earlier, which was also figuring out the message and the market and how those two can work together, especially with influencers. And we actually talked about this I think maybe like 2 podcasts ago. We was talking about brand and like how to do branding right. But if there's influencers out there that speak your brand's voice, I hope I'm saying that right. Their brand voice is your brand voice. Or if your brand was an actual human being talking, they would be that person, right? You know, so let's just use like Lovey, for instance, right? So if your brand voice is how Lovey communicates with her audience, that means that Lovey's audience is primed to probably do business with your brand because she's already speaking your brand's voice or your brand's message, right? Or she's campaigning, you know, your brand's thoughts and your brand's desires. So her audience is already primed for a product. They probably have those problems and those issues. So again, if you are planning for the holiday season ahead of time, this is another thing that you want to consider as well, is what influencers are aligned with my brand voice as well, and with my brand's mission too. So now you can start to look for influencers through that lens as well, and now begin to start testing too. Because again, everything that we're saying, it works when it works, but you have to test to get there. Don't think that you're just going to set this up and it's going to work. You're going to have to test your way into it, but you don't want to be testing your way into it in November. So this is how you get there. You can start testing your angles, and you can start testing your messages, and you can start testing out which influencers match your brand.
Yeah, the main thing I was going to add, you kind of alluded to it too, was just kind of like, even with influencers, right? Like, you don't have to go all out with them at first, right? You want to start small, because the ones who win with the organic play
Yeah.
the probability of success when you put ads behind it is way higher, right?
Right.
So you don't want to go out and do, sign a contract where you paying them, all of this money to do, all of the, 5 lives and this and that and the third.
Yeah.
You want to try to start as small as you can so that you can see what happens when you partner with them and you do the organic thing. You go live or they post a video on their thing or whatever the agreement is. You want to do that so that you can see and you can set this up in your thing where it's like, look, we're going to run this first campaign. If this goes well, we're going to do more business together. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you don't want to get too tied down because the stuff that goes well organically is highly likely to do well with ads. Even not everything goes well with organic don't mean ads going to go crazy either,
Right.
But now you can kind of be able to say, well, I can, find 2 or 3 or however, as I'm testing small that I can be doubling, tripling down with. And then as you're building that relationship, that's when you come in, you add kind of the paid social kind of component onto it. So
I'm
that's kind of what I want to add.
You hit a couple of really important points.
You
One,
both of us biting at the bit.
Please don't involve yourself heavily with an influencer before you know how they're going to perform.
Please.
Hello.
Like, and I say this not even just like, okay, we're going to hire you for 5 like there are brands. I've heard this. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
I was about to say,
like new clients who come in and they're like, yeah, we have like this. We have a 2-year spokesperson deal with XYZ. And I'm like, you have a 2-year spokesperson
got a 6-figure deal and don't even know if they shit gonna work.
Huh?
I don't care if it's a celebrity.
I don't either.
That's please don't do that. Like, please don't do that until you fully understand through data from your own ad account, data from your own social media, data from your own platforms that you're running on, that this person is the right fit for the brand and the products and all of that great stuff.
I don't care that they work with somebody else's product.
You'll get locked into something that you're just going to be hemmorrhaging cash for. And it's just going to burn a hole through your pocket.
And you're going to have to pay that goddamn, you have to pay that, excuse my French, but a lot of them be having them what's the names in their contract, where it's like you want to stop doing it. You still got to pay them like 50% of the remaining thing and all of that kind of stuff. It's treacherous out here. Got to get good at negotiation.
Absolutely. So just be really, really careful with that.
Absolutely. And going back to the point that this is another point that I wanted to make, and then I'll touch on another point that Tommy just brought up, which is another reason why you can't wait to November to start executing on this is because a lot of the influencers that's worth anything are probably already taken. And right now, guess what's happening? Everybody is thinking the same way that you're thinking. Now that they've waited to November, now they're trying to jump out here and reach out to all of these influencers. So whatever influencer you thought you was going to get, they are now booked up. But guess what? During June, July, or in some of these months where there's a lull, they're wide open. Their schedule is wide open. So you want to now go ahead and go ahead and have done some tests with them, and also lock in a slot for the holiday season for them to make you creatives, or already have the creatives set up. Maybe you're locking in lives or something like that for the holiday season, but your creatives are already done and dusted before the holiday season comes. So that's another thing too. You also want to make sure that you have a time slot with them locked in for maybe lives or reels or whatever, during the actual season. But you can't come to them with a contract November 1. Because nobody's even going to answer your DM or email anything because people have already scooped them up. So that's
people have either already scooped them up, or there are some influencers that are just like, hey, it's holiday seasons. I'm gonna F off to Bali for a month.
I thought you were gonna say holiday rate.
Well, no, but they're gonna spend time with they're gonna wind down. This is kind of wind down season for a lot of these influencer types, and they're still gonna post and do it for the gram and all that, but it's really gonna be like in terms of like work. A lot of that kind of starts to slow down a little bit. For a good number of them. So that's worth mentioning. I think also when you start early, you can test early. right? Like you can test the efficacy of working with this particular influencer early. You can test angles early. You can test approaches early.
Mm-hmm.
Like with a lot of there's a couple brands that come to mind where we were engaging with influencers, July, August. We had like a kind of our probationary period, as it were, to kind of get a sense for, okay, are they going to be as effective as we're hoping they're going to be? And that gave us an opportunity to take different approaches, or some brands that had never considered like, taking humorous approaches, right? Or humorous angles. We were able to test that in a relatively kind of risk-free space, and see, okay, did this go well? Did this particular approach go well? Did it not go well? What did the engagement look like when we decide to switch things up, and go this approach? So, and then from there, now you've got data, right? Now you've got data to help inform future campaigns, future promotions, future, etc. So, I know we're winding down. We got to wind down here in a minute. So is there anything else that we kind of want to touch on? I feel like there's quite a bit in terms of some of the around like upsells and bundles and all of that great stuff. I think one thing that I want to touch on super quick, because I think it's super important, is there are brands that really, like, especially the brands that have low AOV, right? Like they have, or like a low ticket kind of offer. When I say low ticket in the e-commerce space, I'm really talking about something that's like $25, $30 or less. The idea that not everybody thinks about is everybody's concerned with like, okay, I need to hit this revenue target for Black Friday, but it's what happens beyond Black Friday, right? And so especially for lower ticket brands or brands selling lower ticket products, it's going to be important to be thinking about, okay, you want to hit this particular revenue Black Friday, that's fine, but how then do you want to maximize revenue for those customers that have come in Black Friday? I think a lot of brands get scared and only focus on Black Friday sales to warm audiences. But when you're talking about like going, whether it's warm to cold, the idea is really, this is an opportunity for you to bring in as many people into your fold as possible so that you can monetize those particular customers, December, January, February, and beyond. And so really getting into, from an email perspective, getting into, okay, what's the relationship that we build with people after that purchase comes through the door? And how personalized does that look like based off of who purchased what and what people's intent is with the product and all that great stuff? What do we then serve to them, January, February, March, in order to make sure, or even like late December, whatever it is, just in order to make sure that you're getting that second, third, fourth purchase when you need to be getting that second, third, fourth purchase, to ensure that you've got the kind of cash flow that you should be looking at. So I think that's important too.
I think would it be, Simon, did you want to piggyback off of that?
No, we kind of
okay. Let me jump in there.
Yeah, I'm about to jump off. So
yeah, let me jump in there real quick. A quick takeaway. So we've already kind of outlined, that one you should have been planning ahead of time, but like now, what can I do right now, right? One thing that you can do right now, because you just did Black Friday, and yes, you have the holiday sales coming up. One thing you can do is have somebody sit down and dedicate themselves to calling people that have abandoned your cart, especially at, you pick a price point, $50 and above or whatever it is, pick the price point that's right for your brand, right? And it's going to make sense for however much you're going to be paying. This person is going to sit down and start making these phone calls. But whatever sale, whatever promo, whatever it is that you were running, if these people have, let's just say $100, $50, whatever the case may be, in the cart, and they did not check out, you can now call them and let them know, like, hey, today only, when you use this code, we're actually going to extend this offer to you, and we can only extend it to today. And now you can clean up or gather up a lot of sales that just kind of fell through because one, people didn't really respond to your text, or people really didn't respond to the emails. Now you can actually get that response from them, because even now, present day, very few people are picking up the phone to call people, especially for e-commerce products anyway. So if you're one of the brands doing that, that's a quick way that you can start to get some of the sales that you've missed, and also enhance your coming holiday sales or promos that you have coming up. That can be a quick win for you to take away and implement into your business right now today. Yes. That's what I have for them.
Cool.
All right, y'all.
I think we tied it up with a bow. Pretty nice.
I think we did.
But I definitely think we these things it'd be so much more we can go, right?
Absolutely.
I
So
know.
much
We
more we
always
can go. Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
I already had another engagement, so
Yep.
all good.
I'm gonna
All
fall
good.
out. I don't know if y'all gonna keep going or not.
I'm going to touch on one more point. I'm going to touch on one more point, and then, but you can go ahead and fall off.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump off.
Good chatting,
Okay.
Tommy.
Good
All
chatting,
right,
Tommy.
y'all. All right.
So there was a point that Tommy brought up, which was about not jumping in bed with these influencers too quick and just having it in phases. So I just wanted to kind of break that down a little bit too. I think the first phase should be that them organically posting. One, again, I think you should meet with them. One, I think you should sit down and look at what angles and what data you have, what messages have worked for you in your advertising already, and then bring that to the table to them, letting them know, hey, this is what's worked for me when I was just talking to cold audiences. And now they can make adjustments to that based on how it needs to come across to their audience, right? The offer or whatever it is that you're proposing may or may not need to change, because maybe it's a phenomenal offer, but how it's actually delivered and how you prove the benefits out is now where the influencer can come in and they can make it funny. Maybe you're trying to be serious, or maybe you're trying to be educational. And she's like, no, my audience responds to funny, humor, comedy, and things that are going to motivate them, and so on and so forth. So now that you got that worked out, you and her, or you and him, whoever the case may be, can work out a few angles that they think can go. Even look at maybe some of their old videos that just went crazy organically, right? And now you can kind of sort of take that message, merge it with what it is that you need to produce for your particular product and your offer, and now say, okay, these are the 3 that we're going to post, and see what they do. And now, based on when they push those videos out for you, if those videos hit, now you can now move to phase 2, and now you can start working out, okay, well, now let's test this from your account. Okay, now we can go to phase 3, to now we're gonna put it in our ad account, and move on and move forward. And now we're gonna sign an agreement, and yada yada yada. So those that's how I would kind of phase that. That's how I would kind of phase that relationship out with that influencer. And again, just kind of repeating something, probably because it is worthy of repeating. I wouldn't just leave it up to the influencer to come up with whatever it is that they're going to come up with.
No.
You really need to take the time to sit down with them, because they don't know what you know, and everything that you know about all the nuances of your product, or all of the comments and stuff that you've read. You got a lot of stuff in your brain that just isn't out there for somebody to pick up and now, take that and add that sauce into whatever it is that they know. So the things that you've heard on the phone, or the things that you've seen in your Facebook ad comments, or the questions that you've seen on your on your Q&A section of your website, or whatever the case may be, all of that stuff is going to play a vital role into delivering a phenomenal message, because who knows what can come out of that. And if you never sit down with them and have that conversation, that magic just gets lost. And now they're just kind of shooting from the hip. Meanwhile, you're loaded with data that can help them produce a phenomenal creative for you. So don't leave them alone. Just like we're telling you not to build out your Black Friday, marketing campaigns by yourself in a silo. Don't launch your influencer campaign with an influencer, and don't let them be in a silo by themselves. Sit down with them.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's what I wanted to say.
That's definitely fair.
Absolutely.
Yeah, at some point too.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Hope y'all, I know, I know y'all had some amazing takeaways, because the jewels were here. So look forward to our next podcast.
And implement.
Yes,
Please
implement.
do not have us doing these podcasts for no reason.
Exactly.
I'm begging you.
Right.
Please don't.
For brain cookies for you to go to. Of course, go someplace else. Sound smart.
You can sound smart all you want, but it's much better to be making bread. Right?
Yes, have them receipts.
Implement this stuff and test and all of that great stuff. Yeah. And let us know. Hop over to the YouTube channel. Let us know in the comments.
Absolutely.
That
was some bullshit. That didn't work. Well, I tried that. That didn't work.
It'll work as long as you apply it
Absolutely
appropriately, right?
Absolutely.
And as long as you're testing what you need to be testing. So
Absolutely.
but yeah, I think that there's definitely, we just want to make sure you guys are implementing this. So as long as you're doing that, we will continue doing this.
Absolutely. And whoever 186.xyz is, hot like photo of my sister. Fire. We got some live chat comments coming.
Okay.
Live chat comments coming in. I guess they spamming us in the comments already.
Spamming in the comments already.
Spamming in the comments. Hot like, what is
Oh,
it?
no,
Like
we don't
hot
got it.
photo my sister. Shout out to 186.xyz on the comments. All right, y'all. We out of here.
All right, later.
Peace.